Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 13th, and I am so glad to have you here. I'm going to turn my phone off. I don't think that I have it on vibrate. We don't want that interrupting us. So, glad that you are here. This morning, my hair is crazy, but that's okay. Crazy hair don't care, right? But yeah, it's a Tuesday. It's honestly just it looks like an absolutely amazing day. Last night we were able to take the kids to a park and let them run around for a couple hours outside. It was a little cool, but if they were running around it was okay. The park that we went to had a lot of shade, so it was a little cool, but it was good. It was a good time getting them outside. Letting them breathe in fresh air is just a good thing for them, for their parents to run around and get a lot of energy out and then go to sleep. So excited for them this morning. Or last night it was exciting for them. So I'm excited this morning because they got some rest, which means mom and dad got some rest. So we're good to go on this April 13th, Tuesday morning. I want to go right into Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12, and I want you to see what the writer here is saying. And I think that this is extremely, extremely important. And I honestly want to say that it's extremely important for you. Like, when you're reading it, the reader, it should be going to you. I spoke Sunday about having patience with people, but sometimes the people that we have the least amount of patience with is ourself. And so I think the writer of Hebrews intently is telling you something for you. So listen to what the writer says as I read it. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance, or let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted in your struggle against sin. You have not resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And so he continues on. And we could just read what he's saying here. But I want to bring a focus to what the writer is saying, is that we are, first and foremost, in a competition. Now, this is not a competition as in we are competing against other believers to get further down the track, or to get down the track faster than what they got, or to run better or fancier or whatever. It's not against other believers, but we are in a competition. We are not attempting to show that we are the best church among churches. We are not in a competition to show we are the best Christian among Christians. The competition that we have is us versus Satan, us versus our flesh, us versus our fallen nature. That the competition is that we continue running towards God and not turning aside. Most do turn aside. That's why we read that few follow that narrow way. It's understanding when we struggle that there's temptation and that there's a battle. It does feel like a battle all of the time. There might be days where the run is a little bit easier, that competition is a little bit it's a little bit lighter. But then there's days where that competition just feels incredibly heavy. That run, that race that you're going, it seems so challenging. You're looking up this hill and you're tired. You've been running and you've been struggling and you've been fighting, and now you see this hill and you just don't know how you're going to overtake it. It's a competition to not stop. because our flesh and our body want us to stop. Satan wants us to stop. And so the writer here is saying that we need to run with endurance, run with patience, run with consistency, continuation in your run. We don't stop running. And here's the crazy thing is that there's so many Christians, and I've seen this happen, they're sprinters. And they sprint. And boom, they're off. And they're doing crazy things. And they're doing really good things for God. And then, bam, hit a wall, right? Legs tightened up. Muscles start cramping because they just sprinted. And I think God has some sprinters on his team. I think God has some people that go that route. And they just go, 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 go. And then I think God takes some of them up. Says, okay, I need you to run. You ran as fast as you can. I'm picking you up and we're bringing you to heaven. I think that happens. I think there's a lot of times, though, when we take off in a full sprint because we don't realize that not everybody needs to be sprinters. I think sprinting for God is a very unique calling. I don't think it's better. I think it's unique. And I think it's very limited. I think it's very rare. Because sprinting kills you. I mean, it hurts. It's hard. And I think that he has very few that go that route. But what we see here is that we need endurance to continue running, to continue the competition. We need patience with ourselves. This is not talking about helping others gain endurance or gaining endurance while others run. This is not anything to do with anybody else but yourself. You need endurance. You need patience. You need continuation in your run. And here's why. Here's how you can do that. I'm going to help you out a little bit with gaining some patience and endurance and continuation in your run. If you're running towards God, you're getting closer. The encouragement there is that you're further down the road than you were. We have to be honest sometimes with ourselves and talk about how that road wasn't good behind us. I'm not talking about looking back and being fond of it and things like that, but let's be real. When I was in high school, I could look back and there are some good things about high school, but I'm going to tell you, high school was wasted in bad years of my life because I was not honoring God in them. I was honoring myself and putting myself in situations that I never should have been putting myself into. Things that were dishonoring God, things that I'm ashamed of. And if we're honest, that's what we should be doing when we look back. Those things, we should be further down the road than we are, than we were. And so when we look back, we can say, hey, this is a hard road. But you know what? I'm glad I'm here and not there. And so I want to continue because I know soon I'm going to hope I wasn't here. I'm going to wish I was there. And we continue with endurance, knowing that we do not need to stop and we need to keep going because where we're at is not where we want to be. And we keep running, and we keep running, and we keep going. And sometimes that run gets to a crawl. That run gets to a barely movement, but we're still moving because still that spot is not where we were. And that's a good thing, and that's an okay thing sometimes. I know some people, and you're in the run, and you just have to take a break. And I say, don't stop. Don't stop moving forward. You might need to slow. You might need to jog. You might need to walk. You might need to crawl. You might need to do something, but keep going because where you're at is not where you want to be. You need to keep moving forward. And the writer here is saying that let's not grow weary in doing that. Let's continue doing this. We look to Jesus. We see Jesus. And the writer here is going to be very blunt. Because I know that they're getting a lot of feedback probably. You don't know my story. You don't know how hard this is. You don't know what the challenges are. You don't know the struggles. You don't know the pain. And he puts in there, he goes, in your struggle, this competition against sin, right? This is what we're talking about, the competition against sin. We're not talking about a competition against other churches or other competition against sin. This is what he's saying. In your competition, in your struggle against sin, you have not resisted to the point of shedding your blood. You have not suffered the way Jesus suffered. So don't give me that this is too hard. And I know, I understand, like, for me, like, coming from Chris Moore, like, man, I unless God specifically, like, showed up to tell me to write this, like, I'm not telling you this. The world, like, fights against this concept so greatly of saying, your situation might be tough. And it could be, and it could be very challenging, and it could be very hard. But you're not struggling as much as Jesus struggled. And again, you have to understand, we're talking about in our competition, our struggle, our run of sin. We're not talking about, Jesus didn't have cancer, right? So if you're struggling with cancer, I'm not talking about your struggle with cancer, you're not going to have bad days, and you're not going to have moments, right? But the thing is that in the sin, in the trusting in God, knowing Him, knowing what's going to happen, knowing that you can continue doing this, laying aside these weights, pushing aside. If you're struggling with pornography, or you're struggling with anger, or you're struggling with, financial, just horribleness, right? Just bad things that we could see clearly as sin because you're doing the wrong thing and you're constantly fighting against it. Instead of ever getting to a spot where you say, it just is what it is. Like, I didn't have good parents. I didn't have good upbringing. I didn't have good this. I didn't have whatever. The writer's saying, no, you don't really get to say that because you haven't fought hard enough yet. You haven't pushed hard enough against that temptation. The temptation you have to make a mistake, the temptation you have to do something wrong is not comparable to the temptation that Jesus had, and He succeeded, so therefore you should succeed too. And you need to continue running. Now, does that mean that we never fail? No, but it means that we get back up. We never stop. We never get to a point where we just accept that something is going to be in our lives. Does that mean that you don't have doubts? No, it doesn't. Does it mean that you don't have failures? No, it doesn't. Does it mean that you don't have, again, the mistakes, some issues, some challenges in your life? No, it's saying that when you have those, that you don't stay there. You give patience to yourself. You give endurance to yourself to say, I'm going to keep fighting this. I know I just fell. I know I just made a mistake. I know I just messed up again. I know I had this issue. I'm going to continue trying. I'm going to continue working towards this. I'm going to continue doing what I should be doing. Even in my failures, even in my mistakes, even in those things. I'm going to continue. I love this. Let us lay aside the weights. I'm going to continue laying aside weights. I'm going to continue laying aside the sin that clings so closely. I want to continue running because I'm going to look to Jesus, and I'm going to look at the joy, and I'm going to look at all of the things that He went through, and I'm going to say He did it. He's with me when I'm doing it, and I'm going to continue fighting even though I fail. Even though I make mistakes. That patience, that endurance that you need is the endurance against yourself. To say, I'm not going to stop trying. I've made this comment to multiple people, and I will probably die making this comment. A failure is not somebody who makes mistakes. A failure is somebody who quits. A failure just stops trying. A failure doesn't make an error and then correct it and continue on. That's not a failure. Failure finishes. Failure doesn't finish. That's what it is. If you finish, if you keep going, if you're walking towards it, like if you're moving, I don't care if it's at the slowest pace possible, but you're pushing and you're trying, you're doing everything, you're not a failure. It's the biggest encouragement that I could try to give you this morning, not only out of this verse, but out of Scripture in general. Just keep going. Don't beat yourself up. Don't push yourself down so much. Don't put so much against you that you stop trying. Keep running. Keep going. Keep pushing. And look to Jesus, because he did this. He suffered more than we will ever suffer, and he was able to find that ability. He was able to find the way, find the mentality, find the ability to say, not my will, but yours. I'm going to keep going because I know that's what you want. I don't want to. I want to quit. I want to cry. I want to suffer, just sit here. I don't want to go any further. I'm done. I want to give up. I want to throw in the towel. I'm hungry. I just want this stone to turn into bread. I don't want to go through the suffering. So I'll just bow down to whoever I need to bow down to that says they'll end my suffering. That's where we fail. That's where we make the mistake. That's where we make the issue. I want to encourage you today, don't do that. Don't stop trying. Just continue. Endure the race. Endure the competition with yourself. Endure that challenging. Endure all of that stuff. And be patient with yourself that you're moving. It might be slow. It's okay. You don't need to compare yourself to any other Christian. You don't need to compare yourself to any other person. You can use the example of Jesus and say, He showed me how to do it. I can do it like He did. And we can just continue moving forward. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're instructed to do. Not stop. Don't pull off. Just keep going. Keep going. Be patient with yourself. Have endurance. Continue in your run, in your competition against sin. That's what we have this morning in Hebrews. I want to say good morning to everybody that's watching. Good morning, Judy. Good morning, James. Dad. Good morning, Zara. Good morning, Martha. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Christy. And good morning, Anna. So good to see all you guys. Talk to everybody. Be able to discuss. Tomorrow at 7, we go back to, we have Jonah on Wednesday night. We have youth group. We're going to be talking, starting in 1 John. Doing a lot of fun things there. And then, yeah, we got stuff throughout the week. So we'll be talking. VBS is coming up. I've been working on some things with VBS with Kelly. And so excited about what that's going to look like and get all those laid out. I'm excited about camp, youth camp. So putting that together, putting together a conference, hopefully, for our youth leaders and student leaders. So I'm excited about that and what that could look like. A lot of things have started moving again and started coming back, and we started doing stuff, and we're just excited to see what God is willing and able to do. So if you guys need anything, let me know, and just reach out to me, and we'll get that taken care of. I'm excited. And it's Tuesday, and the sun is shining, so I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go in the shop. I'm going to open the garage so I can have all that nice light, and we just have a good time today. So, again, reach out if you need anything. Talk to you guys later. Bye.